right where you put up the flue with ash and soot, and the desperate prayers you cast, like a last wish in Alcatraz. I don't know if you can or if you won't. Why do you keep me or find me another home? Why do you treat me like a dog, throw me a bone? Let me be or just leave me alone. Most would erase it or take off in a spaceship. I'm kinda glad you faced it and took one on the chin. Where do I begin? Something gets us in to release that kind of rage on an unassuming dinner plate. I don't know if you can or if you won't. Why do you keep me or find me another home? Why do you treat me like a dog, throw me a bone? Let me be or just leave me alone. I don't know if you can or if you won't. Why do you keep me or find me another home? Why do you treat me like a dog, throw me a bone? It's the kind of hell to leave where I not belong. Leave me be or just leave me alone. It's a lot to absorb, an awfully tall order, maybe a disorder, but I'm kinda glad it's over.
Hey, welcome to the Everything After podcast. I'm so excited. I've got my friend Scott Paris back with me. Scott, of course, who is the master of our intro song, Knee Jerk. You've heard that on the show countless times here in the past few months. And Scott is a Canton, Ohio musician, singer, songwriter, published author, Comic-Con personality, master of all. We just love having Scott on to talk about just about anything. We share a lot of common interest in just geeky stuff, nerdy stuff, and music, of course. And Scott, thanks for coming back and talking to us on the podcast.
Oh, it's a pleasure to be here. It's always fun to talk with you for those exact reasons you mentioned. We like so much of the same stuff that it's just so easy to carry on forever. In fact, I think usually when we do these, we have to eventually pull the plug and go, well, we've been talking for 7 hours, so we should probably trim it down.
That does tend to happen sometimes.
Yeah.
Yes. I love that classic Dick Tracy shirt you got on. It's the Warren
it?
Beatty. You see what shirt I've got on today?
I love it. You got a THR shirt. I love it.
I do.
Those came out really nice. You know what's funny is
I love it. It's a great shirt.
I just turned 44. That is the first band shirt that I've ever been a part of that's in color, that's in multiple color.
Really?
Yeah, because they're more expensive.
That's
Well, I don't even know how Nate got those done the way he got them done. I mean, mine's multicolor as well. This isn't a band shirt, but my former bands have always just been like black shirt, white text, because it was easy to silk screen. And you go back 20 years, we were actually doing the silk screening ourselves as well. So we had like enough money for the cheapest T-shirts you could buy, blank ones, and like one color of what was it called, Powerball, or I can't remember the kind of ink you'd go buy at Joann Fabrics or Packatans and do the screens.
Yeah, man.
But no, I love that
love
shirt.
this shirt.
Yeah. And I love that
Yeah.
you came out to
I
that
picked it
gig
up
too. That
that
gig was great.
Yeah, I was just going to mention that's where I got it. You guys played sort of a music video recording
Hmm.
concert here locally, and such a fun show that was. It was just so cool. Like played it in the basement of like we talked about it at the time, but like a legitimately haunted place. Like
Oh,
it's
for
it's
sure.
definitely haunted.
Well, on the wall in Morse
Yeah,
code, it said,
so
"It's
that was
here."
cool.
Yeah. No, Dan and Nate have a studio just down the street
Yeah,
from there. They live in Canal Fulton. Well, Nate
yeah,
lives in Canal Fulton. So the Rascals rehearse there in Canal Fulton, and we've been recording there. And that's actually the same studio that was one of the first ones I ever recorded at its previous owner, its original owner. My God, in the late '90s. So no, they said, "Hey, our buddy owns this wedding reception facility down the street, and he's willing to loan us the basement to do a show." And we went, okay. And then we went and saw it, and we took some promo pictures there. So the most recent band photos we've been using are also a month
yeah,
before that show, but they were from that same basement. And we just fell in love with
yeah,
it. This looks like a cool little rock show. And we could set up a bunch of
yeah.
cameras and film it. And they still have all
That
that
was a
footage.
lot
They
of fun.
released
It was
one.
really cool.
They released one of the songs already from that footage from that
I
night.
saw it.
We have
Money
more.
Talk, right?
Yeah, Money
That was
Talks.
great.
Thank
Yeah,
you. Yeah, we recorded the whole
yeah,
show, so they're going to release more soon. But a lot of fun.
yeah. That's great. I love that song too. Money Talks is a great song.
Thanks.
Really good. You guys really kicked ass on that show. It's awesome.
Thank you.
I
It's
wear
been
the
a fun
shirt all the
project.
time. I wear it out to the gigs when I'm shooting shows and everything. I'm taking pictures at concerts and stuff. I
Yeah.
actually wore it to a show at the Musica in Akron, and I
Yeah.
ran into some other THR fans too because I wore it to see Safe Ferris. So
Okay.
of
Yeah.
course it was appropriate because
Pop
THR is a
punk.
ska band, Safe
Yep.
Ferris is a ska band, ska
Yeah.
punk. Well, yeah, I ran into some people that are like, "Oh, Tenderhearted Rascals." I was like, "Yeah." So
That's so cool, though. It's so neat because that
yeah,
band's only a year
yeah,
old. That makes me really happy that somebody's heard of us already. That's just, yeah.
yeah, yeah, man. Very
I
cool.
I didn't
Well,
expect that
you walk in
because,
that
yeah.
ska punk circle, you're gonna get that, I guess. Like,
Well, and I
for
didn't
sure.
expect it necessarily from the Monet brothers because they had a very long, tenuous kind of Americana alt rock thing with Hey Monet for the longest time. So when they said they wanted to put that away and do
Yeah,
something different, I assumed I assumed they would just be the two of them and kind of do like an Avett brother thing and just kind of, because they had 5 different bass players. I was only one of them. But then they completely flipped
right.
the script and said, no, actually, we want to do a ska punk thing and we want you to stay on and play the bass. And I went, are you kidding me? That's great. Because again,
Yeah,
kind of like you and I relate to so much together. I've known them guys, maybe not 20 years, but certainly more than 15. And we love a lot of the same musics, even if you don't hear us perform it. We could talk all day
yeah,
about Beck or Bjork or some random little niche band that no one's ever heard of. They've heard of them. I've heard of them. Maybe you've heard like just the smallest little
yeah,
cutout pocket groups. But we don't always get to play that kind of music because it's not super viable. But I don't
right.
think there's a ska punk resurgence, but we just said, screw it. We're over 40 and that's what we like. So let's play it.
I really like to, of course, is to hear like mainstream pop music like through a ska punk kind of
Right through a filter
filter,
of, yeah.
and you guys do that really well.
Thank you.
You guys do that really well. Of course, Safe Ferris did that with Come On Eileen. That's their big
Yes.
song. But you guys did a couple of pop songs in ska punk fashion at
I
that
think it's
concert.
part
You
of the
did a
culture.
Madonna song, right?
We did Madonna, yep. And
Yeah, it's great.
we did a Neil Young song. We did Heart of Gold as a ska
Yeah,
punk song. There's been ones that
that's
we
great.
didn't do that night for you that we did when the band first started. We were doing Huey Lewis's Power of Love. I really like that. We did the DuckTales theme
Yeah.
song at our first show,
God, yeah.
which was really, really
That's
fun.
amazing.
And that song's harder to play than you might imagine.
Yeah.
I had to have the chart in front of me. It was really,
Oh man,
there's a
yeah.
lot of changes to that.
Yeah.
But no, all the
There's a lot
ska
of bass
punks.
in that too.
I know it was a lot of work for me, and
Yeah, as a bass
I'm not a
player.
real bass player. I play, but my God, it was a lot of homework. I do a lot of homework in that
Yeah,
band, which is great. It's really fun. But yeah, no, ska punk, that's kind of a rite
yeah.
of passage. Real Big Fish did Take On Me, and they did it really well. Trying to think what other like major ska bands. They all would do 80s pop, but then flip it, make it punk.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Right.
That was like a real thing, especially
Right.
in the 90s. MXPX, which didn't have horns, but they did a great pop covers record. I think it was called Under the Covers.
Yeah.
I think that's what it was called. But they did really cool. They did like Buddy Holly stuff. Yeah, they did Oh Boy. They did a really cool punk version of Oh My Love,
Oh,
My
right.
Kissing. You don't know what you've been missing. Oh boy, oh boy. You know, it's so cool.
Right. Yeah. No, Newfound Glory, they're not really ska punk, but more just straight punk. But they do
Sure.
a lot of really fun music soundtrack stuff too, like movie soundtrack stuff that I really like. They have a whole album or a couple albums, I think, that are just movie soundtrack covers. And I think that's really fun.
Yeah.
Love stuff like that.
Did you ever listen to, what was Fat Mike's side project? Me First and the Gimme Gimmes? Did you ever listen to them?
No, I don't think so.
Yeah, so the story that I'd heard years ago, the band No Effects, I don't know if you know No Effects.
Yeah.
They would
yeah, I know.
they
No
would
Effect, yeah.
they would play the Warped Tour, but the guy who started the Warped
Yeah.
Tour had a kind of a rule that you couldn't play 2 consecutive years on the Warped Tour. So No Effects, like Fat Mike from No Effects, wanted to play every year at the Warped Tour, but the guy was like, I can't have No Effects play every single year. So Mike was like, well, what if I start a side project? And he goes, okay. So he would bounce and do 1 year with the side project and then No Effects. And he did that back and forth. And the side project was Me First and the Gimme Gimmes. And all they do
I did not know about
all
that.
they do is
That's
pop
cool.
covers as punk songs. They don't have any original songs. And it's really good. It's like really, really interesting.
That's
and
awesome.
fun.
I might have to look that up.
Yeah, Me First and the Now I think Mike has since left the band, but they still tour without him. They kind of just kept going. But they're a glorified cover band, but they play everything as punk, and their choices are hilarious. In fact, the weirder the choices, the more you like the version of the song.
Yeah, absolutely. That is absolutely the truth, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
So, Scott, we got some catching up to do. Last time you were on the show, you had written a book, and we talked about it. You wrote a book about that very guitar that you have in your hands right there.
Yeah, and on that version of the podcast, we only talked, so now they can see it.
Yeah, right. And, of course, a fantastic book. Just a memoir of a musician just kind of lugging it out there. Just
trying,
putting in the work, which I think is just, the work ethic and everything behind that. Just admirable. I blew through that book, and I still have to write you a review, but I'll do that at some point, I promise.
Okay.
Fantastic book. And at the time we were talking a little bit about you slowing down, I think, with like some of your performance and maybe focusing on doing some writing. I know you're writing another book. I think it's somewhat top secret, so I'm not sure how much we'll talk about it. But
yeah, well, there is a book, and I'm halfway through it, and you know the premise, but I think I'm still going to keep that part on the hush hush for everyone else. But yeah.
Yeah.
It's going real well.
To read it. Good. I can't wait to read that one too. And that's going to take a little bit of a different direction. It's not going to be a memoir. It's going to be more of
it's a story. Yeah, it's a fictional,
based in some historical fiction in a way, because it's based in some true facts, right?
Yeah. Yes. It's going to mention a lot of things and people that really existed, but I'm going to extremely pervert the story of what happened to them all. Yes, it deals with a radio DJ who reminds me of DJs that I've known in real life and a couple that I've heard even today on some of the classic stations, like on the Sirius, the satellite radios and things like that. It's the old guy that doesn't want to admit that everything changed. The DJ that still wants to put his personality on the air and still thinks he has a broad listenership of devoted youngsters, and then doesn't realize there's no one out there. Everybody's doing a Pandora or Spotify or terrestrial radio is pretty dead, and even the satellite stuff is so niche. It's so niche that if you're doing something where they're only playing older songs, you're only speaking to older people, and this guy's kind of just not putting it together, and times are a-changing, and he goes looking for inspiration in a peculiar place and finds a haunted object that gets the better of him.
Yeah.
That's where the whole thing changes from real life into this very strange, I don't want to say psychological thriller, because it's not going to be that deep. A little bit. It kind of reminds me of writing the last book, actually, because so much of it is me. It's just I'm not writing first person this time. You know what I mean? So much of it is my own not wanting to evolve, but I can write it. I can write it, and then I can make fun of it and be both characters. I can write the thing I'm really thinking, and then I can pull it apart the way people do as the author, and then just, smack myself around. But you never have to know that it's coming from me.
I love it. It sounds great. It sounds almost therapeutic.
It is. It's super fun.
Yeah.
I've been telling a lot of my musical friends, like the guys in Tenderhearted Rascals and like the guys in all these other bands that I've kind of just reconnected with. I haven't written a song in over a year, maybe 2. And that's the truth. And I used to be pretty prolific. I mean, I used to put out an album a year, and I did that for a very long time. And now 2-3 years have gone by, and I haven't written a song. But I've written a book, and I'm writing another one. So I think I don't know if it's because I'm getting older or because, like, I already did a lot of the first thing, which was my love of music and songwriting. And there's a lot of music out there. I mean, I'm sitting on hundreds of songs, which is why we're doing this concert next week. But the writing thing is so new to me, and it's so foreign, and it's something fun to learn about. And I mean, even since I've put the book out, I realize there's mistakes in it, so it's definitely, I'm still learning. Even though I've already published something, I would go back in a heartbeat and change a few things,
Yeah,
so now I know next time.
Just don't George Lucas.
No, I'm really trying to fight the urge. I'll be honest. I read the manuscript. I read the manuscript back when I said it's done. I finished the last page, the end credits, it's done. Then I went back and read it top to bottom. And I think I waited another week and I read it again top to bottom. And then I turned it into the publisher and they formatted it. They chose the font, and they actually chose a different one than I asked for. I let them win because they do it more than I do. And, I didn't want to be too headstrong because it's not I have no expertise, So I told them what I'd like to see about everything. I designed the cover, but then they made it better. I sent them kind of my version of how I thought it would look, and then they changed that. But I think they did it for the better. But anyway, they send you back a PDF, a 300-page almost PDF, and they say, read it cover to cover, make sure there's no mistakes. I read it, there was mistakes. So I had to pay to have them re-edit it. Because once you turn it in, you've pretty much sworn on a Bible that this is it, this is right. And then they go, okay, well, if you want us to change anything now that we started editing, you got to pay for our time. So I was like, no, it's great. I reread it, I found mistakes. I paid for the edit, I turned it back in. I sent a copy to Nate Monet from the band, and within the first night that he started reading it, he found a glaring mistake, and he sent me a screenshot. So then I had to call him back and go, wait, more mistakes. I paid for another edit.
Man.
They fixed it again. They sent it back to me. I read it cover to cover. This is like the 7th time I've read the whole thing through objectively, like not still in my computer, not editing. Like, it's done. I've turned it in.
Yeah.
And then it went to press. And then when it came back and I got the very first book out and I started to read it on paper, glaring mistakes. I got out a highlighter and I'm like, how did I miss this? So man. I took the
Scott,
original.
I think it's time to stop reading your first book.
I know. Well, like you said, George Lucas, I have the original manuscript still as a Word document. I went in and fixed all the mistakes that I found in my manuscript in the mindset that if I ever needed to do a second edition, I would fix the mistakes. But now, having done that a few months ago, I don't think I want to fix anything because, like you said, it is what it is. Most people that have read it have said really nice things, even if they catch the mistakes and the grammar, and there's some things that really shouldn't have made it to print. But it was real, and it was honest. And that's kind of how I feel about song mixing. We were talking a little bit before the thing. I have recently found a computer full, the main computer I recorded on for like 20 years, which I mentioned in the book. I thought it was dead. And I did get it working. And I went into and just found folders and folders of mixes and songs I'd forgotten about. And some of it's really great that at the time that I was working on it, I was too wrapped up in it to just go, no, this is fine. This is it. But I'd keep hammering and hammering and hammering. And it's like, I'm not a Van Gogh, but imagine Van Gogh having Starry Night and going, no, it could be a little better. And then he keeps adding and keeps adding and keeps adding, and then he screwed the whole thing up. Or thinks he did. When it's like, where do you stop? Yeah. Where do you go, this is it. I'm going to stop messing with this. Because I could mess with this forever. And I could never show it to anybody. And I'm only going to make it worse. Because you do hit a precipice where the art is just, it's good. In fact, it might be great. Even if it's flawed, it might be perfect for what it should be. And that's the hardest part, is kind of walking away and going, I'm going to leave this. This is done. I could sit here and mess with this for another 10 years. And I could make it so perfect. But that's not perfection. That's super gloss. That's, some people would say, overproducing. Just leave it. Yep. Leave it go. Warts and all sometimes is the coolest. You know, like Jack White just made it to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Those records are dirty and noisy and a little off time and a little off pitch. He just got in the Hall of Fame. If everything was auto-tuned and beat corrected and perfect, he'd be every other guy that just tries too hard. You know?
You're right.
It's tough.
And you got to look at some of the stuff too, like rediscovering something you created. I mean, you're talking about a book that you just wrote, and just released and
not a year old.
You've changed since you wrote it. I mean, you know, it's a time capsule, but it's authentic to when you wrote it.
Right.
You know, you wrote it, and same thing with the songs. You know, you write a song and then you revisit it some years later. But it's a snapshot of time, a snapshot of this time when you created this thing.
I agree.
And that was you in that moment, and that's authentic. And the book itself reads as very authentic. You were writing it as you were living it, and you feel that, you know. And to go back then and change it, you know, removed from those experiences, it's going to alter the experience of the reader as well. But it feels very authentic, and that's what I really appreciated about it. So,
well, thank you. I
love that it was being written in the moment.
Yeah. Well, and that was
right. You were gigging and going to shows and doing all this stuff, and you were writing those chapters like on the road and you know, you were doing some Comic-Con stuff, like, and I love that you were writing it. Like, I think at some point you told me you were like writing on napkins and all kinds of just anything you kind of
everything.
Paper product.
No, really, I always had a notebook in the guitar case. There was always a notebook in the guitar case.
Yeah.
And I filled 3 or 4 notebooks with handwritten journals. And then that would get transposed in the computer. And then I would tighten things up or expand on ideas. And you know, because we've talked together so much, I'm pretty long-winded and a little scatterbrained.
Yeah.
So I'll start telling you a story, and mid-point, it'll remind me of some other thing I really have to tell you. I'm like a child. Like, oh, wait, let me show you my Legos. And also, do you like video games? And have you ever had cold pasta? Because I prefer it to warm pasta. Like, I was writing in that same fashion, and I thought, halfway through, I thought this is, and I admit this in the book, I have a lot of anxiety and a lot of second thoughts about everything. I don't know an artist who doesn't. I don't know any kind of artist who doesn't look at their stuff sometimes and go, this is crap. And then maybe a couple days later go, no, I'm onto something. This is pretty good. And you really balance those feelings all the time. But I got halfway through the story, and I mentioned in the book almost throwing the whole thing away because I reread the earlier chapters, and I was like, this is junk. No one wants to hear my ADHD ramblings. Like, nobody wants this. But I kept going, and I didn't throw it away.
Yeah.
Which, you know, I would advise to any artist who might happen upon this interview. Yeah, don't just make the thing. Just make it. It doesn't have to be the best thing ever, but at least finish it. See it through.
You told me.
See it to completion.
Yeah. You told me, and I'll always remember this because it just struck a chord with me, and I've kept it in mind too as I've done this project, this podcast, and I look back at some of the stuff and I think, oh, I could have done that better, and there's things I could do better. You told me that you had to give yourself permission to write a bad book, and then just improve it, you know, and go forward with it. Just give yourself permission to do something, even if it's bad. Just do it. I think that was no kidding. That was my mantra the whole time. Especially on days where I felt low, if I was feeling low about everything. Just allow yourself to make some junk. If that's what you think it is in the moment. And I don't mean that that's what it is for anybody. But get away from this perfection. I'll never let you see this until it's perfected. Well, then you're just never going to let people see it. Like, you know, and especially when it comes to like a manuscript is a lot of pages. It's, you know, if you're writing a book, you know this, you're like writing 200-300 4 or 5, 1,000 if you're Tolkien. I mean, like a Stephen King you have to get the first draft down. And even if it's not great, take a beat, go back from the beginning, and just prune a little bit and go, how can I make it a little better? And then without maybe, and again, try to tastefully find the line where you can go, I've done enough pruning, and now I'm going to let it just live. Because maybe that's the other caveat to the first thing, where give yourself the freedom to write something that you think is subpar,
knowing that later
Mm-hmm.
you're going to zhuzh it up. You're going to make it better. And then when you start doing that, also allow yourself to stop doing that and go, it's fine.
Yeah.
It's fine. You know,
Yeah.
I'm really proud of the book.
Right.
I know there's some flaws in it. Okay, I'm a flawed person. I made a mistake. I was not an A student in English class, you know, or whatever,
Yeah.
you know.
It
But
doesn't try to be anything that it isn't,
No.
you know. I mean, and I think that it's great. Like I said, it's authentic. It's a great read. I flew through it. It's a lot of fun stories in there. We've talked about some of the stories, but just a really, really good thing to, you know, to put out in the world, I think. And I don't even know we talked about it before, but I don't know if we've even told people what the title of the book is, Scott.
It's A Guitar Called Harry V, which is this guy here, and the cover band Conundrum. So a guitar called Harry V and the cover band Conundrum. Named so because of me meeting Alan Tudyk, who plays Harry Vanderspiegel on Resident Alien. Did I ever get to show you this?
I love that.
Because I know we talked
I have
about
not
it.
seen the actual autograph.
Yeah,
we
so
talked
this is
about it, but I have not.
this
actually
is.
seen that.
Do you not swear on the show? Should I cover the swear words?
No, you can. You can. I love it. Yeah.
Yeah.
That,
he wrote,
Hey Dickhead, that's some
Hey
bullshit.
Dickhead. Yeah. Well, then, yeah.
This
But
is
that's
some bullshit. Yeah.
Yeah, that's why the guitar got dubbed that, which was really early
I
on.
gotta say too, I'd watched that show, but I had forgotten about it, and it was still going on, and I think I'd probably stopped about somewhere in season 2, and talking to you got Christy and my wife Christy and I back into it, and God, I love that show.
Isn't it
just
great?
so good. I hate that it ended.
Yeah.
But gosh, yeah, it was great. We caught up in time for the last season.
For the
watched all
actual
that
finale.
live, so.
Yeah. No, it's a you know why I like it, and I've loved sci-fi since I was a kid. It does for me the same thing that Doctor Who has always done and certain other sci-fi, where in one episode it could have you in stitches laughing. It could have you teary-eyed because of something that happened dramatically. It could have you thinking philosophically because something happened. Where do you get a show that does all those things? I mean, I'm sure there's other shows that aren't sci-fi that you can... I mean, I've seen kids movies like Disney Pixar movies that also get sad and get happy and get weird, you know, but I think like Toy Story 3 when all the toys are about to go in the fire incinerator, and I mean, I was crying, like, you know. So there's other things that make you feel all the gamut of emotions, but that show just, it had heart, and it had so much humor and like really clever jokes, almost too clever, where when you get it, you feel smart about yourself.
Like where the depth and the sort of the pathos and everything sort of comes with it, I think, is just in the relationship building, because those characters are just so deeply, you know, involved with each other and just so care about each other. And I think finding the show, I think that really has heart like that at the base of it, I think is really important these days.
You don't get it too much.
I loved it. It's so, I mean, it would get so goofy at times, which I loved it. I love how I love when sci-fi gets just really goofy off the wall. So it gets so goofy, and then it like there'd be an episode where, you know, like Darcy's like really dealing with some real
some dark stuff.
Issues.
That last season, dark.
So relatable on so many levels, but it's really fantastic stuff. If you haven't watched it, you should go watch Resident Alien and go and read Scott's book too. So
nice.
And then Scott, like, there you go.
You know what's funny
and
too
Scott,
is
you've also been. Go ahead.
I was gonna say I only met Alan Tudyk the once, but if I get to meet him again, I'm gonna tell him like, dude, I've been throwing your name out there a lot. Like I've been working your PR really hard. Maybe I should be on the payroll. And he'll just say, well, you stole my name.
I think he should invite you on his podcast that he does with Nathan Fillion.
Once we were spacemen.
Once we were spacemen.
Yeah, I've listened to it.
Yeah,
awesome. I'm a Patreon subscriber. I am. Yeah.
Well, I think you should end up on that podcast. I hope we get to listen to you there for sure.
That would be so cool.
But I had you come back on the show because you've been busy too with some other stuff since we last talked. So you put the book out, you're writing another book. You had sort of talked about stepping away a little bit from some of the live performance, but you had that show with the Tenderhearted Rascals that we talked about, and you're putting together a really cool show coming up here really soon, right before Thanksgiving, Let's talk about that.
Okay. Yeah, November 22nd at the Oracle in Canton. Every indie rock, pop rock, whatever you want to call what it is that I do, because I got my start in heavy metal, and I mentioned that in the book. I have not been able to get any of the heavy metal bands to come back together yet. There were there were three really heavy groups. In fact, I could do a separate show if those three bands would say yes, and it would be a different experience, but it'd be super fun. But once I kind of switched over to, I think that would be really fun. Once I kind of switched over to whatever it is that I do now, this pop alternative, whatever it is, every group that I've played with and written for, from an original standpoint, I've got them all coming back on one night. So that's Imaginary Cookies, Assorted Vagabonds, Tenderhearted Rascals, The Paris Accord. I'm probably already A Broken Transmitter. There's just so many that the list even is boggling to me. But
yeah.
I have written with or for all those bands, on top of all the solo records. Because really, I was usually putting out at least an album a year, sometimes 2 albums a year, for almost 20 years.
Well, one of the things I think that's remarkable about that, Scott, is that you've been in a lot of bands and you've put out a lot of music, like you said, like going back through your catalog and everything is, that's a lot of stuff. But this is a show that it could either be like a dream or it could be a nightmare, right? Because like bands don't always like end amiably, but like the fact that you're such a nice guy and everything, like you don't have bad blood with any of these people and stuff, so it's not gonna be so bad. But I can imagine that wouldn't be the case for a lot of musicians if they tried to get back together with all of their previous bands. I'm sure there'd be a lot of headbutting and maybe some flat out brawls happening on those stages, right?
Yeah, I can't believe Oasis is still together. I gave them my over under for the Oasis reunion was 2 months, and I'd have lost money on that bet. But you're right. Yeah. Present day, I couldn't even tell you the number of bands I've been in. It's a lot. I'd say it's upwards of, I want to say close to 20, if I'm being honest. Now that would be original and cover. If you're just calling a name, I could list you band names we've worked under. They would be pretty extensive. But I've never quit. What's funny is I've never quit a band ever. The bands sometimes slow down naturally and people drift and they start doing other things. But I have never stormed off and said, F you, I quit. I've never. And with the exception of, say, Transmitter, where there was a little mishap between Tim and I, which we're great now. There was a little, whatever. There was a thing where we stopped playing and we didn't really speak for a little bit. We squashed that. We figured it out. We're people, None of us are perfect. And the older you get, you kind of go, you forget the bad things, you remember the great things. And then ultimately, and I've had this with other relationships with just friends or family members or other people that maybe you don't see eye to eye or you do have that bad falling out. You got to get to a point where you go, do I really want to live the rest of my life without you? Do I really not value the good days when we had good days? And I don't know what the answer is for someone else. I mean, you really have to weigh that every time it happens and kind of go pros, cons. But with art, when you're working with other people and you have the chance to kind of go, let's forget about the disagreements and see if we can get past that. Can we get back to where things were really nice? But that's been even rare. More times than not, the only reason my band stopped playing was because we got naturally disinterested and all went different ways, or something new came along and took that interest away, and then you just didn't have time, So if any one of those guys calls me right now and says, hey, would you like to work on some music or would you like to do some shows? I'd say, yes, I would like to. Let's look at our calendars. Are you free in December? Oh, no, I'm real busy in December. Are you free in January? Well, January got real busy for me. Are you free in February? And sometimes we play that game. You know what I mean? So the reason you haven't seen, there's 2 French Donkey albums. French Donkey was formed in 2003. It took us 3 years to make our first album, so that came out in 2006. It took us 10 years to make our second album, which came out in 2016. And now it's almost 2020. We have not talked about a third album, but we will be playing at this show. So it's the same thing. Chris and I have never had a falling out at all. We're great buddies. It's he's busy and I'm busy, and we really have to synchronize our calendars. In fact, getting this show together, that was the only nightmare part of it, was how in the world am I going to find one night where everybody's free? And I lucked out.
Yeah.
I lucked out. It was seriously, it happened in the course of 2 days. It was reach out to Josh at the Oracle and say, this was 6 or 7 months ago. And I said, I'm looking in the fall. I'm looking real close to winter. What do you have open that I could have a Saturday night? He gave me a very short list of dates.
Yeah.
Couple October, couple November, couple December. Very short list. And I started texting people one by one. Hey, I got this idea for a show. A, would you do it? B, look at these dates and tell me what days you can't do. Because it was easier to cross off those days. And the one that kept slithering through the threads was November 22nd. So I said, everybody put a hold on it. And I didn't even know what the hell I wanted to do. I just wanted to do something, you know. It started as a joke. I have so much. I'm in my house now, and this has always been home base for the merch. Like I have a really nice, you can't see it from here, but I have a really nice finished basement with a storage area, and I've got CDs, vinyl, cassettes, t-shirts, stuff from the pandemic, like those handkerchief gator masks, just frisbees, you name it. I have all this stuff. And originally the idea was a joke. I said I need to have like a garage sale, but not a garage sale. I need to book a night at a club and play every song I've ever written. And the whole point is to set up a 3-tier merch table and get rid of this shit. Like that was the joke. And then I went, can I do that? So then when I reached out to Josh at the Oracle, I said, hey, give me a night. I'm going to try to get some people there. I can't even tell you what band is playing. I'll play all night. You got me. And I'll promote the crap out of it. But I'll try to make it great. And then it did start to get great. So now there's like a dozen people coming to play. We're doing almost 40 songs. It's probably going to be a 2.5 hour, 3 hour concert.
That is awesome.
And some of these songs haven't been played in 20 years.
Yeah. I love that origin of it too. That musical garage sale.
I have so much crap here, dude. I have so much crap. Like, I was like, I don't want to throw away all this stuff because it's great. But no one has a CD player anymore. Or no one, you know, Transmitter hasn't played live in 4 years. Does anybody care? I've got all this stuff that, you know, or, and I might have mentioned this in the book. I did mention this in the book. My album Functional turned 10 years old in 2024. And I was going to do a 10th anniversary concert and play the album start to finish and maybe some other stuff too, of course, because it's only like a 40-minute album. And then I just crashed out. Like my anxiety, my brain got the better of me and I went, no one's going to come. No one wants to see this. And I got really down about it, and I canceled the show. But I'd already had the T-shirts made. So I have hundreds of T-shirts for the 10th anniversary of Functional. White ink on black shirt, because that's all I can afford. Not like the THR shirts. But stuff like that. Right. Like I just, you know, I had all kinds of stuff made. Like, I'll do a big thing for the 10th anniversary. And then it came and went because I was not in the right headspace. But, you know, which I'd have been... Right. I'd have been writing the book at the time, too. I mean, because I talk about it in the book. Yeah. So any of the dark times or the times where I was trying to be really honest about, you know, the ebb and the flow about some days you feel like you're on cloud 9 and, you know, this stuff's so good. Why am I not playing for 1 million people? You should all love this. It's so good. And other days you're like, I'm a hack. I don't know how I got this far. You're a fool for even talking to me. I'm a phony. I mean, you get that real, what do they call that? Where you just feel like you're... Imposter syndrome. You feel like there's just moments, I get it all the time, where like, I'm not really. Oh, yeah. I'm just a dude that's pretending to be a dude that is decent at any of this, you know? That's a real feeling. Yeah. It's a real feeling.
But yeah, no. So relatable. Totally relatable. I think probably just about anyone that does anything creative feels that probably a lot. So
actually, you know, one of the sweet things about even just in the book came out in February, so it's not been a full year yet, but I get that more than anything is the people who have read it, and it's been a nice amount of people that actually read the whole thing. It's the compliments or the things people want to talk about is the validation of being unsure of everything. Yeah. Willingness to talk about the anxiety and the depression and the darker, like the bad days, and not just doing that thing we do online, like on Instagram, where we always edit the picture and we edit the video and we you know what I mean? That social media thing we've all
Yeah.
got
Oh yeah.
accustomed to,
Gloss
where
it
you
up.
where you
Gloss it up. Make your life
everything's
look like it's
perfect.
something
Everything's perfect. It's
everyone
kind
does
of
it. Yeah.
it's kind of that Hollywood thing. We all stole that from Hollywood, where
Yeah.
everything's great.
Airbrushing away.
Everything's airbrushed. Everything's
Yeah.
perfect. Um, we all know how to do that, and I've certainly done it and been part of that for certain things for certain times. But writing the story, I was like, well, I'm not doing any of that. I'm not doing everything's great and everything's awesome, and this is how cool I am, and this is how cool you are. It was going to get gritty, or I wasn't going to do it. And that's one of the nice, like, really, the biggest comments I get back to me is like, thanks for being real about that, because I didn't know you felt that way too. And I've had some really nice conversations with people who maybe they're not even artists. Maybe there's people like friends or acquaintances or someone maybe who followed me singing at clubs and stuff going, oh, I thought you had it great. Like, I thought you were doing the rock and roll. Everything's awesome. I'm partying all the time. Or, you know what I mean? And I'm like, well, yeah, that's what you do on Instagram. Totally. You always post the good pictures. But no, and even you mentioned Once We Were Spacemen. They're 3 episodes in, and I love what they're talking about, because they're talking about the gig they didn't get, the time they almost got fired, the time that their managers dropped them because they weren't getting any offers for roles. I love how authentic they're being about it. I wish I did know them personally, because I would compliment that and go, I thought you were super rich, always chilling in Hollywood, always like with the beautiful people, always. It's really interesting to hear, oh no, my agent dropped me, and I lost this deal, and I lost that deal, because you never.
It's hard to imagine.
Yeah.
You put people like that on a pedestal. And I've told you before that you have been on a pedestal of mine for quite some time. And I felt that. I felt that reading your book, that I was like, wow, he's like me, kind of. So
yeah, no, exactly.
But no, I can't imagine like thinking about like like someone like Alan Tudyk and Nathan Fillion, like that they ever struggled. But absolutely, they have.
Yeah, no, and I love that they talk honestly about them. In fact, them talking about the bad times doesn't diminish for me at all how much I enjoy their work. In fact, I think it strengthens it, because it's like, you're not perfect either, and yet you made this show and that show and this movie and this thing that I love. So you can be flawed and still make these gold nugget things. Well, shit, maybe there is hope for me. That's almost more encouraging. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So I love that.
Totally.
Yeah. This show's going to be really great. And everybody, I've gotten together with almost everybody. I still have a little bit of time, but we've done a lot of rehearsing. I've been in so many people's basements in the last 3 weeks rehearsing these songs. I've been in basement after basement. Today I'm in my own basement.
Yeah, if you want to play a song, let's do that.
Yeah. Do you want Functional? Is that the one you wanted? Or do you have a preference?
I heard you. I saw that clip of you rehearsing Functional on your social the other day, and it just reminded me how much I love that song. And I think that we that we talked about it. The fact that we talked about it being 10 years old last year, I think that would be great. Unless you had something, you had set your heart on something else. I'd love to hear anything else too, of course. But
I'll play anything that you want.
I've played it so many times myself, but I'd love to hear it live. It'd be great.
Perfect. No, that's cool.
Let's do it.
Actually, you know what's really nice? The night of the show, I will be playing this song on the bass. So I'm going to play this song for you now on Harry V, but I will not be performing this song on Harry V at that show. The members of Tenderhearted Rascals are going to do that with me. And with them, I'm a bass player. So I'm going to play the bass for that song.
You're going to be exhausted at the end, because like everybody else gets to kind of like come and go on the stage. You're going to play with a bunch of different people at different times, different bands. But you're in all of these bands, Scott. You're going to be up there the whole time. But you're not on there. You're not lead on all of them. You get to mix it up a little bit. Great.
It'll be bass with the Rascals, electric most of the night with the different bands that are coming up, and acoustic with French Donkey. And we play in a different tuning. So I'll have at least 3 different guitars on stage that I'm going to use throughout the night for different purposes. But it'll be fun. For me, I'm energized because everybody you play with, kind of like every guest you have on the podcast, lends a different energy. And that's why every episode of your show has a different vibe. Because you talk with someone else, they've got a different vibe than when you and me talk. or when you and someone else talk.
Right.
And I have that musically with all these people. So when I do a set with Chris and when it's French Donkey, that has a real unique thing that we do that we've kind of created. And then the second he leaves the stage, I'm flipping over into Broken Transmitter mode, or I'm flipping over into Imaginary Cookies mode, or Rascals mode, and you're going to see every side of the coin flip over and over and over.
We get to see the many faces of Scott Paris, the many personalities. You'll be your split personality will be on display. It'll be schizophrenic and only the best way.
Yeah. Yes. It's going to be Scott Paris and Friends, or the many schizophrenic faces of Scott Paris. Exactly. Right. Yes.
Awesome. I can't wait. And I think if anybody's in the area that can get to it, they should definitely get to it, because it's going to be a fun night. And we're gonna see and hear one of the faces, one of the voices of Scott Paris. Now you're gonna play us a song.
Yep. This is the title track on the Functional album.
A song that is double digits years old as of last year, right?
Yep. 10 years old as of last year, which is weird because it felt like yesterday. It really did. Felt like just yesterday. But, all right. You ready?
Yeah.
This one's for you.
I've waited for days, waited for something to change. And I've been in the days, waiting on sunshine and rain, just to say that tonight I want to be less than a step above functional. Tonight I want to be anything other than cynical, but I don't. Maybe I'm amazed, like Sir McCartney would say. Whoa, ain't it a shame about everyone except Ray? Even he could say that tonight I want to be less than a thread above him. So tonight I want to be ascended away from criminal, but I don't know. Tonight I want to be less than a step above functional. Tonight I want to be anything other than cynical. Tonight I want to be less than a thread above him. So tonight I want to be ascended away from criminal, but I don't know.
Hey, this is Johnny Radelet, drummer for the band Live, and my ETA is being the most me I could be and letting go of the guardrails for 2026.